Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
October 7th was the Devil's Holiday.
It's very hard to believe what happened, even though I was there and seeing with my own eyes and seeing them laughing and killing and having fun with it.
Because if you don't open the door, they are going to kill you and they are going to kill me, so please open the door.
That's just a glimpse of the trailer of The Dragon's Prophecy, Dinesh D'Souza's new film. And I want to tell you, I've had a chance to see this film, and the opening is absolutely harrowing because it shows scenes of the terrorists from their body cams. They were streaming it. They were proud of what they did. But then it dives into really a lot of the misinformation and sort of the propaganda that we've been hearing about the state of Israel, about their enemies, and about how historic this struggle really is. Dinesh D'Souza, the filmmaker behind the Dragon's Prophecy film, joins us now. Dinesh, always great to talk with you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's a great pleasure. I made this film kind of for the anniversary of October 7th, but It's amazing how so many currents of controversy are now swirling around this, coming not just from the left, where we kind of expect it, but also from the right. So the film is right in the middle of that debate.
Yeah, and by the way, it's in movie theaters tomorrow. You can see it in a movie theater, and then also after the fact, you can stream it. Just go to thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. The centerpiece of this film is your interview with Jonathan Cahn, who is an author. This is a #1 bestseller, The Dragon's Prophecy. And you, first of all, let's start about the historic basis of it. I don't know why it never occurred to me, but we know about the Philistines, David and Goliath, and how the Philistines were sort of constantly trying to slaughter the ancient Hebrews of the Old Testament. I don't know why I never connected Philistine and Palestinians.
You know, that's actually the exact same word, Philistine, Palestine. Ironically, in the centuries immediately after Christ, there were some Jewish revolts, and the Roman emperor, in order to kind of punish the Jews, said, listen, I'm going to take the name of your ancient enemy, and I'm going to call your land Palestine. That's the origin of how the region came to be known as Palestine. It was a kind of infliction by the Romans on the Jews. And then later, in the 20th century, Palestine is kind of picked up by Arabs, who then sort of invent the idea of sort of Palestine or Palestinianism. Now, the film begins, as you said, with riveting footage of October 7th. I'm kind of astounded that the public, the American public, the world public, has really not seen much of this, in part because the government of Israel was a little reluctant to release it right after October 7th. But it's right there in the film with a little bit of a graphic warning. Some of the most gruesome stuff I left out, but then the film explores the historic and even the biblical and prophetic significance of October 7th. Now, where Jonathan Cahn comes in, I think, and the genius of Cahn, is he doesn't just notice the resemblance between the name Philistine, Palestine, he shows the tactics are exactly the same. I mean, if I can give the example of the biblical hero Samson, he represents the strength of Israel. He's captured by the Philistines. He's blinded in much the same way Israel was blinded after October 7th. The Bible says he was dragged to Gaza. Gaza is named in the Bible. And it says the people of Gaza said, bring him out so he can entertain us. Bring out Samson. And right after October 7th, sure enough, hostages were kind of stripped to the waist, brought out, paraded, and people are dancing around them, shouting Allahu Akbar. So Khan makes, I think, the arresting observation that Samson, 3,000 years ago, is the first hostage of Gaza. This is the kind of stuff you're going to get in the film. It's a very wide-angle lens that connects prophecy to history and also to the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, you really get into some deep stuff here, talking about how October 7th was not just, driven by anti-Semitism and terrorism, but again, very biblical sort of battle for the soul of humanity. And at the end, there's this call to action to Jews and Christians to return to their roots, stand up for good and resist evil. I have to say, it's frustrating right now when I see that at Langley High School right here in Northern Virginia, there's a cafe a day this week, the very week that we are remembering October 7th. And we see all these protests and these Palestinian flags and what's happening in the UK and Jews fleeing certain countries like the UK and France. How can we really convey this message that there needs to be Christians and Jews need to stand up, and there needs to be better education for young people in this country and around the world?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of Christians don't recognize that a very sordid alliance has developed between the cultural left in the West. This is like a very permissive LGBTQ cultural left, and on the other side, the radical jihadi Muslims. Now, you would never think that these two groups, which have totally different goals, would come together. But they come together because they have a common enemy, and the common enemy is Israel on the one side, but also the Christians on the other. Notice that they're chopping the heads off of Christians in places like Nigeria. So there is brutality against the Jews and brutality against the Christians, and it's coming from the same place.
Yeah.
So it's a massive wake-up call to Jews and Christians worldwide to come together, because this is a very real threat that we all face together.
Yeah. The film is The Dragon's Prophecy. It's thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. We're talking to the filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza. And by the way, Dinesh interviewed Prime Minister Netanyahu and Ambassador Huckabee for this film. Really interesting questions that you had for both of them on this. But if you could, really quickly, you show this moment, it's now gone viral, between Tucker Carlson, and I don't know what's going on with Tucker Carlson, because you can see stuff that he's said throughout his career supporting the state of Israel. Yeah. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, where Carlson sort of presses Ted Cruz on, do you really think that the current government in Israel, the state of Israel, is the same as the biblical Hebrews and the biblical nation of Israel? And first of all, there's a flawed premise in the question. However, you explore this issue, Dinesh, and I think that it's worth exploring here in our interview, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think with Tucker, he has the sort of ventriloquist strategy, I call it, where he raises all these questions. He never really answers them himself, but he leaves you with a kind of misleading impression. And so I take the question seriously, and I dive into history, biblical archaeology, and then, hey, I've got the Prime Minister of Israel, so I ask him the question directly, and he weighs right in and does his own kind of elegant slam dunk on Tucker. So, the film is really interesting because it's timely. It's like I finished it yesterday, and at the same time, it addresses themes that are very timeless.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody who says that Israel was a colonizer in some way of the Palestinian homeland, the archaeological evidence in this film, going back and finding the Kingdom of David, and the obvious evidence that this was the Israeli homeland. I guess you can go all the way back to when Abraham, ventured in there and decided that he was going to set up camp. Okay, sure. Abraham was the colonizer, I suppose. But it's great stuff. Really interesting film and worth seeing for sure. Dinesh, congratulations once again. Appreciate you joining us.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And by the way, if you want to see it here in the AMC in Alexandria, Cinemark at Fairfax, and the Cinemark Egyptian in Hanover, all are showing the film tomorrow. Get your tickets. It's 8:45 WMAL.